everybody, Chris Cox here. I've got an awesome guitar lesson for you today. We're going to go back and do a Deep Purple tune. This is Space Truckin' off their Machine Head album. The tuning for this is A440 standard, so if you want to play along with the record or the lesson, just tune the standard. Let's get started. Space Truckin'. So we have a G5 power chord, which is the 3rd fret of the low E, 5th fret of the A. We're going to shift down a whole step. This is going to be an A5. This is going to be 5th fret of the low E, 7th fret of the A. We have. So when you first play that very first part, you want to make sure that you're strumming both chords. You don't want to slide into that A5. So we have. Now we're going to add D5, C5, back to A5. So we have, now that's going to be 5th fret of the A, 7th fret of the D, 3rd fret of the A, 5th fret of the D. So D5, C5, back to A5. So after we go to that, we're in, we've done that. I think it goes through maybe 4 to 6 measures before we go into the verse. The verse is going to sound like this, slow. Okay, so it's kind of like a blues shuffle there. So we start off here on the A5. So that's going to be open A. So this is an A5, this is also an A5, just played in a different position. So open A, 2nd fret of the D, and we're going back and forth from here to adding the 6th, and still playing the open A, so it's like all down strums. And then we're going to add that 7th before we switch. So it's. Then we're coming here to the C5, and then the D5, and then back to the A5. And then it repeats again. But when we get here to the C5, we're adding that 6th by stretching our pinky down here and playing the 7th fret of the D, but we're also got to hold the note here on the 3rd fret of the A. So it's. So you got to stretch a little bit. You got to move your thumb around. When you up here, I can kind of have my thumb up higher, but when I get to these type of chords, I'm going to have to pull that thumb down and bring it more to the middle of the back of the neck so that you can get that stretch. And then you're going to shift down a whole step, 2 frets, to the D5, and then play. And that's going to be the D note, so that's the 5th fret of the A string to the 9th fret of the D. So then repeats again. Now this part I guess will be considered the pre-chorus. It switches to D5 and we're just playing a slightly different but similar A5. Those chords. So when we get in that pre-chorus, this will be our D5 here. We can also play the D5 chord up here in the 2nd position. So this is going to be open D, 2nd fret of the G, and then we're playing the same similar rhythm we did on the A and D, just now on the D and G. So there's the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 6th, back to the 5th. And then back to the A. So I should say when I switch back to that A, I do hit the open A first. So right before I come back, I always kind of hit that muted open A and D before I switch pattern. So then we play a. And that's going to be an E5, so that's 2nd fret of the D string, 4th fret of the G, 5th fret of the B, so we have a. So we're playing D, G, B, back to G. We lift up our pinky finger here. Now we're going to grab the D note on the 3rd fret of the B. And we're going to just play D, G, B. So this will be considered an E5 with that added octave there. But this is an E7. And then we go into the main riff. And I'm going to show you 2 different ways to play it. This is the way I like to play it. So this way, we start here with an open A, and then we're going to play 7th fret of the A, 6th fret of the A, 5th fret of the A, then we're going to switch to the E and play 8, 7, 6, 5, and then it comes back to the 7, 6, 5, now I should say 7 to the A, 7 to the A, 6, 5, 8, 7, 6, 5. So if we play it all together, so when you come back to repeat that, you're now going to play that open A again. You only play that one time, because it's already coming back here. By the time we get to here, there's that A again. So we wouldn't want to play. We want to add that, right? Back to the 7. Now, on that 4th pass through, we go 7, 6, 5, 8 on the E, 7 on the E, 6 on the E, but then we're going to go to low E, and then we play this. Now that's going to be open E, 2nd fret of the A, 1st fret of the A, open A, 3rd of the E, 2nd of the E, 1st of the E, and then back to the open E's. Then we go back into the 2nd verse. Now the nice part of this is if you learn that 1st verse, you've already got the 2nd verse. It's exactly the same. So nothing changes, same structure, everything is the same. Okay, so after we go through that, so we're going to say we're into this, basically we went through the 2nd verse and now we're going into the chorus. So this main riff will be considered the chorus. Now we could play it a couple different ways. We could also play it up here. So if you want to play in the 2nd position, you just hit open A, 2nd fret of the D, 1st fret of the D, open D, 3rd of the A, 2nd of the A, 1st of the A, and then open A. Before we come back in to that chord here, it's kind of like a C major chord. Now that's the strumming pattern. It's just up and down, up and down, up and down. I'm in between, when I play that chord, I'm just laying my fingers across the strings. I'm not actually pushing them down and fretting them. So you get that kind of pick scrape sound. So we do the first one, we go. It changes right here. Repeats again. Goes again. One more time. and we hit the low E with the E5, first fret of the E, second fret of the E, third, fourth, open A, first, second, third, fourth, open D, first, second, third, fourth, open G, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and then we're back into the and I should say you want to switch up to your neck pickup here. So if you've got a Strat type guitar like I have, just all the way up, and we have this. So we're sliding into the 7th fret of the D. And you can do that slide from the 6th, or you can come in here from the 5th. And then we're going to grab this note, which is the C note, the 5th fret of the G, and then come back to the 7th fret of the D. So we have. Now the second part there is a 5, 7 of the D to the 7 of the G. So we have. And a little bend on that last, that C note on the G. Now we go into this. Oops. So we're going to play this run. So once we do this little bend here on the 8th fret of the B, first it's a slow bend up and stop. And then we do a quick bend on the same note. And I should say that second time that you play this G note, you want to make sure you do that little quick, because it's part of the run. If you leave that out, by the time you get down to here, you're kind of going to be off with your timing and rhythm. So the run is going to be 5th fret of the high E, 8th fret of the B, 5th fret of the B. Here's a note that doesn't really, is not part of that pentatonic scale, but we're going to talk about that. So we have the 8th fret of the G, 7th fret of the G, 5th fret of the G. So we have. And so 7th fret of the D, 7th fret of the G, 5th fret of the G, back to the 7th fret of the D. So we have. 5th fret of the D, 7th fret of the D, 5th fret of the G, 7th fret of the D, and then we end out. And of course we have that little bend before we finish there. So slowly. Now we're going to start incorporating some country type guitar playing licks and hybrid picking. Hybrid picking is using your pick and your fingers. In this case, we're going to be using the middle finger and ring finger, and then we play this. And then we get that kind of chicken picking kind of country guitar lick, so which really is cool for this song. And if you want to talk about a really nice technique that goes well in kind of, you can interchange this into rock music, is that kind of hybrid chicken picking. John 5 does it a lot. Steve Lukather does a lot of hybrid picking. Of course, we know Jeff Beck doesn't use a pick, but he can apply some of that hybrid, kind of chicken picking, almost a country type feel to it. So this part, we're still in the A minor pentatonic. We're barring across the B and high E, and we're hitting that open A and the B and high E together. Now when we come up here, we shift up to the 3rd fret of the B and high E. We're letting on this ring. So all this is kind of being played together. And so you want to let it ring. So and then after we come out of that, we're sliding from 3rd to 5. We got this. And that's where that hybrid picking comes in again. This time we're going to be plectrum and middle finger. So the first part's going to be high E on the 5th fret to the 5th fret of the B. Then we're going to shift to the 8 on the B, 7 on the G. And then we're going to shift to the 7th on the B, stay with the 7 on the G. So we have, and I just lay my finger flat across it. Then we have 5th fret of the B, 5th fret of the G. Then we have 7th fret of the G and D. And then we end here on the 5th fret of the G, and then the last note is going to be 7th fret of the D. So after we finish that, we have the last lick is going to be, play that again. Okay, so we're still in that A minor pentatonic. We're going to go here to the 8th fret of the B string, bend up, and then grab. So you're going to play 5th fret of the high E, pull off from 8 to 5 on the B. And then I do a pull off here from 8, 7, 5 on the G. So when we come out of that, we go 7D, 7G, to the 5th here of the G string and do an extra bend, and then end on the 7th fret of the D. Common theme throughout this solo, from the lots of bends here on that 5th fret of the G, and then always resolving back to that A note. So play that slowly.